You mentioned that eternal thing, and it seems to me, Joe, that the fear of death is like the elephant in the room here. Maybe it's always that thing that drives us to do all of these irrational behaviors, and now it's really magnified because even though it's a very low probability, everyone admits that, it's still something that people are coming face to face with like they never have before in their life. Can you talk a little bit more about the fear of death versus this concept of being eternal? And look, it's something that's come up with a few guests over the last couple of weeks where some of my guests, like you, Joe, feel I am infinite energy. I am here for a long time. This is just a human shell experience. And those are the people that seem to, transcend like you're talking about. But can we talk about that?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not the type of person that's metaphysical in any way. I do two things. I devour information and science, and I build models, and then I apply them to have my own experience. And my experience tells me that there's more to this three-dimensional world, more to reality that meets the eye. And it's been a feeling that I've had from the time I was a child, and that feeling has never gone away. Sure, it's come and gone. And most people have had that feeling that are watching this show, as I said. So in every religion that I've looked at, and I've looked at a lot of them to try to piece this thing together, I think there's just maybe one or two religions that don't talk about you as an individual being eternal. Whether you're going to heaven, you're going there forever. If you're going to hell, you're stuck there forever. If you're on the wheel of karma, you're on that wheel forever. When you reach nirvana, you're there forever. I mean, the bottom line is you're stuck with you forever. We're stuck with you for all of eternity. So if you believe that, then what type of legacy? When we were at singularity and source, we thought, is there more than just oneness? Is there anything else but oneness? And the moment you ask that question, impossibility, you become something other than oneness. Now you're not one, you're aware that you're separate from one. And this is how we fell down into density. But our journey then is to prove to ourselves that there is more to reality. So I have had wonderful moments where I've moved from this realm called space-time, three-dimensional reality, into this realm called time-space, where I've experienced another aspect of myself that is not this person, this identity. But I understood who I was, and it kind of changes my view about that we're not linear beings, isolated in linear time. We're dimensional beings living a dimensional life. And I think that's one of the biggest lies that we've been served, that we are, individuals that experience this one moment in time because we don't remember. Well, going from the philosophical understanding that you're eternal and that there's some savior that's going to save you, we have to change our view about death, because I'm not even sure that what people have been told about death is the truth. I mean, again, when you move to this realm where you experience other dimensions, you realize that there are many houses, many dimensions that you can travel through time and experience. And for me, wow, I have one of those moments where I realize that I'm not Joe Dispenza in linear time. The next probable question is, who am I? And asking that question takes you out of the philosophical realm, out of the realm of, oh, I'm eternal, and just espousing that. But making the attempt to really experience the truth of that. So you have a little bit of that, and you overcome the fear that you have to die and go to this light and get your information or review your life. Okay, that's important. The soul needs to see how far it's come and what its limitations are from a greater level of consciousness. That's an option. Another option, you could surrender to a deity, some consciousness of some being, and you're locked into that consciousness, into that world. It's not yours, it's somebody else's. Or you can go to that realm where you dissociate from everything, that vacuum of void of anything material, and ask that same question: who am I? And the experiences that I've had, and some of the people that have had those experiences, are all of a sudden transcendent of linear time. And the whole game changes. So the mystical experience then of showing you that you're more than Brian Rose is going to take you to get beyond your experience of Brian in order to get there. And there are latent systems in the brain that we've isolated that, when activated, turns on your access to frequency and information that gives you a little bit more of the belief that you're eternal. And so some people have a fear of death because they think it's the end, because that's how I've been programmed. And some people have a fear of suffering because suffering means death, and they don't know how to get out of their suffering state. So when they hear information, their brain naturally goes to the worst outcome, and they begin to experience the emotion of that future before it occurs. And they're basically programming themselves for death by doing that. So again, I mean, we never have this conversation when the environment is doing well and, you know, there's prosperity and financial growth, and this never would come up until people actually realize, okay, take away your cell phone, take away your computer, take away your car, take away your stove, your refrigerator, your washing machine, take away your couch, take away all the things that have been created by some other inventor, by somebody else. How resourceful are you? I mean, what do you got? I mean, what can you do? And now, all of a sudden, maybe it has to get so intense that we have to start believing in these principles more than ever. And if that's all we get out of this and everything returns back to normal by the fall, I would say then we would look each other in the eye with a little bit more compassion. We would be less likely to judge another person. We wouldn't see their skin color. We would see the divine in them. We would make an effort to forgive. We would make an effort to connect every day. We'd make an effort to ask ourselves, who do I want to emerge as this eternal being? Whose life can I change? Whose mind could I help change? Whose heart could I open? How could I give? How could I make a difference? And you got enough people doing that, you're less reliant on a government. You're less reliant on a doctor. You're less reliant on a teacher. You're less reliant on anybody. And now something else begins to happen. So eternity and death is just another programmed belief that we have to work on changing. That's based on an interpretation of mostly men in religion trying to come up with an understanding of it. And wow, times have changed in the last 2,000 or 5,000 years. We're having conversations that we would never have before. And information is one element. You don't need any authority to gain information. You have technology. You just got to discern what information you want to fill your brain with. By the same means, what a crazy time with the solar flares and all this energy and the end of these different cycles, and there's a change in frequency, and that frequency is disturbing everybody's nervous system. It's a cataclysmic time of awakening, and you can't go back to business as usual. You can't go back to the things will never be the same.